everyone, Artie Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Porter, with you again today. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel as I do another Art by Marlene page with some of the new stuff. So this one is some flowers in a vase, and the inspiration for this came from those new washi colourful elements that I really wanted to take for a spin. So I'll just take you through what I used. I used a stencil from last year's Advent. I also used the new Crafty quote stamps and of course those washi colourful elements that I'm really dying to take for a spin, and then the perfect size journal with the owl on the cover. So I started the new album again, and then the Golden Oldie collector's book because it's amazing. And I've also used the Marlene's last lot of watercolours. I thought I'd try out watercolours this time, and then the sticky glue and just a couple of paint colours for the shadowing, which is Police, which is a navy, and black, which is pitch. And of course the sticky glue. Did I mention that? Anyway, so what I did is I grabbed a few sheets of paper out of the collector's book, the Golden Oldie, and I love that checkered paper. And as soon as I saw that was back again, it reminds me of a tablecloth. So that's part of where I got the inspiration for this. And then I used that stripy paper to cut a vase. I often have used a vase with horizontal stripes, so I thought I'd go vertical stripes this time. And then those large hand-painted looking flowers are actually from another sheet in the Golden Oldie collector book. So all of these are from that book, and some of them were hanging off the page, but that's okay. I know I'm going to layer up with lots of flowers and cover up those straight edges, so yeah, so I didn't worry. You know, it's nice to use the ones that are half on the edge, because sometimes, you know, you'll be left with them at the end, so I'd like to use them up first. So then I went through my washi colourful elements, and I grabbed out a couple of the flowers, and I did expect when I put them on the background for them to be sort of get a bit lost, not lost, but I guess fade a little bit, but they don't at all, and they are quite strong. I feel like they're maybe they came up without tearing at all, and I do feel like perhaps they're a little bit stronger than washi tape, because I'll explain that as I go perhaps. So then I went through the Golden Oldie's collector's book and just found a few flowers that had the pinks and the oranges and the yellows and some purples in them. And I pulled those out, and I've just stuck them in a cluster around on the vase. And one of the flowers I cut in half. I often do this because to create that layered look of blooms on top of blooms, you know, I don't want to use up a whole flower tucked underneath something. So if I'm tucking most of it under, I will trim it off, and ta-da, I've magically got two flowers instead of one that I can use somewhere else on the page. So I went back through the washi colourful elements and pulled out some leaves. I love the leaves in there, so just sort of scattering them around the page. And then I also grabbed one that's like a leafy frond, and I trimmed it down a bit, so the bottom bit, like the bits that I didn't use, I'm now cutting into smaller leaves and placing them on the page as well, just to give a bit of greenery in there. And yeah, I was happy with that, happy with how that looks. And I probably didn't explain the reason that I used sticky glue instead of gel medium today is that I wanted to do this. I wanted to do the watercolour background instead of acrylic paint, and I knew that if I put gel medium on, it would seal the page, and I wouldn't be able to use this gorgeous smooth paper that's in Marlene's albums. It's actually pretty good for using watercolours on. So by adding the gel medium, it would have ruined that. So that's why I chose to use the sticky glue, because I was trying to be really careful not to get any onto that white background. Okay, so I came in with the watercolours. I'm concentrating on blues and aquas, and I'm just creating a bit of a background and a bit of shadow all at the same time. So I'm keeping my colour stronger, closer to the leaves and the flowers, and then I'm letting it wash out towards the outer edges. So I really want that oomph of colour to shadow around the flowers, and then just for it to be softer as it comes out. So you'll see me going over this a few times until I'm kind of happy with my background. Now you can't really see the blue very well, but it looks more white at the moment, but it is completely blue. I haven't left white anywhere. I think it's just the lighting on the video. So then I did come in with a bit of purple and repeated that process, just oomping up that shadow a little bit, and you'll see that it starts to bring the flowers forward just by creating that little bit of depth to it. And then what I'm doing here is, as my page dries a little bit, sometimes, because I'm not that great with watercolour at blending out, sometimes I get a line that I don't really like, and so to fix that, I'm just coming in with some stronger blues and aquas, just in little areas, and just sort of creating a blob on the page, and then just using the damp baby wipe and any stencil you could use for this, just sort of pouncing it through, and it just leaves a hint of a pattern. Because it's with watercolour, it's quite a different effect to when you use acrylic paint, but it just gives you a hint of some sort of shape in the background, and it's really good at hiding any of those sort of muddy areas that you might have. Okay, so now I come in with to create a shadow of the vase. So as I've been creating it, I feel like the flowers are darker on the right hand side, and so I decide that that's where my light source will be on the opposite side. So my light source is sort of top left coming down. I originally imagined it the opposite way, but once I started playing and it started happening, it feels to me like it sort of really needs to change, that it needs to be on the top left side. So what I've done is I've created a shadow underneath the vase, just using police. So I watered it down so it became a bit like a watercolour, and I just created a shadow as if it's falling on the table, and then a little bit of pitch black paint underneath the vase, just so it softens out as it goes. And then I did add a little bit of the black around the right hand side of the vase and the flowers, and a little bit on the underneath as well, just to really help with that illusion of that light coming from the top left hand side. Okay, then I grabbed a black fine pen, and I just outlined the table and a couple of the leaves and the vase. I just sort of drew around the edges really, and then I add a stamp. So I'm using one from the Crafty quotes because it says I must have flowers, so that was kind of perfect. And instead of actually putting it directly onto the page, because the flowers have a bit of white in them, I wanted to bring a bit of white into the page as well. So I stamped it onto white paper and then cut around it and placed it on my vase. And just in this part, I'm using the watercolors just to go over the top of some of the flowers and the vase and the table, just to add a bit of oomph. I kind of usually do that with acrylics with neons, so I just did it with your watercolors, and yeah, that did the trick. So I'll leave you with close-ups. Hopefully you can see some of the shadowing, and this was a lot of fun to do. I love doing vase ones. I've done a couple before, so you might want to hunt back through my videos. But thanks for sticking with me and staying here, and as always, I would love to know what you think. Okay, see ya. Bye.